Hi, friends. Happy Tuesday. I hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. And this is a short week, and we're going to see each other on Zoom this week. So fun. I'm going to read you a book today, A Bad Case of the Stripes. Wow, let's see what this is about. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Oh no. My friends, in this book, they said the word fret. She was fretting. Fretting means she was worried and she was nervous and worried about the first day of school and fitting in. Her mother ran into her room and she screamed too. "Oh my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered. "But just look at me." "You get back in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say. And she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. Can you imagine waking up like that, my friends? That's so silly. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon. In the night of the living lollipop, she tried her best to act as if everything were normal. But when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke into stars. Do you guys think that can happen? That would be so silly. The other kids thought this was great, one yelled out. "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard," and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. Oh my gosh, guys. That night, Mr. Holmes, the school's principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction, and I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes may be contagious." Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can do, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough one day. Oh my goodness. So she likes beans, but her friends made fun of her and that hurt her feelings. Poor thing. Well, yes, I see, said Dr. Mumbled, when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. "I think I'd better bring in the specialist. We'll be right over." About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. "This is Dr. Grope, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young." Then the specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. Well, it's not the mumps, concluded Dr. Grop. Or the measles, said Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chicken pox, put in Dr. Cricket. Or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one each day before bed, said Dr. Gru. Then they filed out the front door, followed by Dr. Gumble. They gave her pills so she wouldn't turn stripes and checkered boards. Oh my gosh, wait. That night Camilla looked at her medicine. It was awful. Oh, I'm sorry. That night Camilla took her medicine. It was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she didn't feel right. But when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant, multicolored pill with her face on it. Do you guys remember the doctor gave her all different color pills? So now her face changed to that. Oh my gosh. Gosh. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mrs. Cream called. But this time, instead of the specialist, he brought the experts. Dr. Gord and Dr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked at, and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gord finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Oh my gosh. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Dr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria trails. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Gord. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus blotches. Oh gosh. The experts looked at Camilla, then at each other. We need to go over these numbers again, back at the lab, Dr. Gord explained. We'll call you when we know something, but the experts didn't have a clue, much yet a cure. Poor Camilla. Huh? Sad. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house, telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon a huge crowd was camped out on the front lawn. Oh my gosh. So they all want to know, what's the matter? Why does she change into everything people talk about with her? The Creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a vegetarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long furry tail, but nothing worked. You can't even tell that's her. Look at all those things on her. Oh my gosh. Wonder what's gonna happen. One day, a woman who called herself an environmental therapist claimed she could cure Camilla. Close your eyes, she said. Breathe deeply, kind of like we breathe with Miss Jen, right? And become one with your own room. I wish you hadn't said that, Camilla groaned. Slowly, she started to melt into the walls of her own room. Her bed became her mouth, and her nose was a dresser, and 2 paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. What are we going to do? Cried Mrs. Cream. It just keeps getting worse and worse, she began to sob. Look at Camilla's face. It's her room. Oh, silly. She went into Camilla's room and looked around. My goodness, she said with a shake of her head. What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen before. She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. Here, she said. This might do the trick. Are those magic beans? Asked Mrs. Cream. Oh my, no. Oh my, no, replied the kind old woman. There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I'll bet you'd like some, wouldn't you? She asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big heaping plateful of lima beans more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. Yuck, she said. No one likes lima beans, especially me. Oh dear, the old woman said sadly. I guess I was wrong about you. She put the beans back in her bag and started towards the door. Camilla watched the old lady walk away. Those lima beans would taste so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been going through. She finally couldn't stand it. Wait, she cried. The truth is, I really love lima beans. I thought so, the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of lima beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. Said Camilla. She's eating her lima beans. Suddenly, the branches, feathers, and squiggly tails began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around. When it stopped, there stood Camilla, and everything was back to normal. I'm cured, she shouted. Yes, said the old woman. I knew the real you was in there, somewhere. She patted Camilla on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Afterwards, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at her school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had even a touch of stripes again. So, that was a really good book. And the moral of the story is you shouldn't be ashamed of something that you like or don't like. You should be confident, it's called, in who you are and what you are. And everybody is different. Everybody likes different things. Everybody wears different things. Everybody has different toys. Everybody thinks different. So, I have a question for you. What is something that you may like to do or eat that you may feel different or weird around, or may feel like somebody may make fun of you, but you truly, truly, truly like doing it? Whether it's sitting on your mom's lap, but you're afraid somebody might laugh. Anything. It could be anything. You might like Brussels sprouts. So, if you guys can let us know that, that would be great, all right? I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow. Miss you. Bye, guys.